President of Monumental Basketball, Michael Winger, delivered his State of Monumental Basketball address yesterday, and the message he delivered was clear. The deconstruction phase is over.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team free and available every single day. And today's episode is, of course, brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Alongside the DC sports content creating savant Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable.io. AB, you ready for the snowstorm?
Yeah, the game actually got moved up to 12 p.m. tomorrow, if you guys didn't know. So make sure you wake up a little early on your Saturday to watch Wizards-Hornets. But I don't know, Ben, with Nova weather, the DMV in particular, snow, we say we're going to get 50 inches, but we get like 5 centimeters. So we don't know. We'll just have to see.
I'm not happy about it. I have to go stay in a hotel tomorrow night and Sunday night just to go to work Monday morning. So that's going to be my weekend after Wizards basketball tomorrow. So let's go. Great time in the snow in Navy Yard, DC. But anyways, let's get into it. On today's show, we break down Michael Winger's State of the Union address that he delivered for Monumental Basketball, talking Wizards, Mystics, Capital C Go-Go. We're obviously focused on the Wizards here on this channel. The message was clear throughout. First thing I want to get into with this press conference is his comments about the deconstruction phase of the rebuild being over. And then in the second segment, I want to talk about fans of other teams are jealous of the Wizards front office. You never thought you'd hear the day about that. We'll get into that later, and then we'll preview Wizards-Hornets to close this thing out. So the thing that stuck out to me very early in this press conference, AB, was just a very simple statement that Michael Winger made, and this ended up going crazy on my Twitter. It's got 158,000 views right now. He said, as a reminder, we are not pursuing short-term success. We believe that mediocrity is frankly easily achievable, but there's a very low ceiling of hope. Wow. Somebody tell that to Ernie Grunfeld 15 years ago. Somebody tell that to Tommy Shepard 8 years ago. Because, yeah, that's exactly right. There was no hope for this organization. There was no hope for this franchise when we were muddled in mediocrity. And that's why we had to take the approach that we did, the complete deconstruction, which AB Winger now says is over.
I mean, I never thought I'd see the day, Ben. This is genuinely music to my ears when I heard Michael Winger say that. It's just a brand new day. New days and years are coming for this Wizard squad where we're not going to be stuck in the middle anymore. No more purgatory. No more barely making the play-in and getting bounced out in the first round. This is different. This is developing your young guys. And I love that Michael Winger said that. Year 4 of a rebuild, you expect to jump. I expect us to be in the play-in next year. And I think the fact that he mentioned that and just all the years, like you mentioned, of Winger or Grunfeld and Shepard, it just was not fun. And we've been dying to see this. And I think moving forward, it gives you optimism. You can be opportunistic because you know it's a different approach towards this organization and what they're trying to build here. And just moving forward, the idea that you're going to hopefully have a top 5 pick, top 4 pick, hopefully top 3, whatever it is, just a high pick. It gives you optimism because you know it's going to be different this time. And with the cap space, the flexibility, the ability of Will Dawkins like flipping players and landing Trae Young for essentially Bradley Beal with the most horrendous contract in NBA history. This front office knows what they're doing, and if you're still having doubts, I don't know what to say anymore.
It's refreshing to hear those words and know that they're committed to taking this approach, and frankly, that being average is unacceptable to this front office. And that's all we asked for so many years, was to take a clear direction, have a forward way of thinking. And the way this front office came in and said, this roster is average to it was below average, honestly. It was worse than average. Said we need to blow this whole thing up, get rid of all of the trash that's here. We need to overhaul everything, start fresh, and develop players and build the core that way, because that's the modern way to be successful in the NBA. The era of like NBA free agency is over, AB. Now that you have the second apron and Supermax contract, shout out to CJ McCollum. He basically saved the Wizards, actually. And now Trae Young is a Wizard because of CJ McCollum as well. There's a lot of parallels, honestly, with CJ McCollum and the potential future success of the Washington Wizards. But we can get into that in a whole nother episode. But this is the modern approach that front offices have to take in order to build a successful foundation, a successful team. This is what the Spurs did. This is what the Rockets did. This is what the Thunder did. Now you can make moves in free agency and in the trade market to supplement your team, but you have to develop your young talent and get them on these relatively cheaper contracts, like a rookie extension or whatever it may be. This is how you build your foundation. And another thing that was interesting, AB, and now we're talking about the deconstruction phase being over. So obviously what deconstruction was tearing down everything, ridding so much from this franchise. You had players that were not good, and you had players that are good that had to be part of that process. Deni Avdija, someone that came up in the press conference, I'll tell you what Winger said about him as well. He's the guy that saw himself part of the deconstruction phase. But Winger yesterday says, we're coming up on a time, mostly within the next 6 to 18 months, where we have to declare which of our youngest players can make material contributions to our eventual contention. Now that's interesting, AB, because that means next year you're expected to be a better basketball team. You're expected to be more competitive. And then after that, it sounds like 2027, 28. That's where it seems like they really would like to be in go time mode, because he said 6 to 18 months. 18 months from now, you're looking at the start or just before the start of the 2027 season. So we're getting close to that era of where the Wizards are looking to compete, and they're going to have to start finding out who's going to stick around here long term, maybe, because not everybody can stay that's on this team right now.
And one of those guys, Ben, is Bilal Coulibaly. A lot of speculation about how the Wizards should deal with him. There's so many fans of him saying that they should obviously develop him and he can peak in 2 to 3 years. And then some fans are saying just let's give up on him. There's no point. It's tough because, again, we love Bilal. I call him the most polarizing young guy on the squad right now, because when he's healthy, offensively, there's games where it's inconsistent, but defensively, he's always going to be really good. And the injuries, it's been tough on him on and off the court, different types of injuries. But yeah, the deconstruction phase is over. I'm happy, Ben. Brighter days are ahead. This press conference gave me hope and reassurance that this front office knows what they're doing. They understand the idea. And it just goes back to the fact that this whole year was about just getting a better draft pick or keeping your top 8 pick. And with the talent loading up in this upcoming year, it does make me wonder, Ben, does Michael Winger and Will Dawkins and crew make any moves before this post-trade deadline? Do they buy out Chris Middleton? Do they potentially trade for Zion Williamson? I know Josh Robbins mentioned it, and it is a long shot, but I think they're not done. I don't think Trae Young is the only move, Ben.
They said they'll remain opportunistic. And it's interesting because David Aldridge asked, with all the cap space you have freeing up, you're going to have, after the Trae Young opt-in, extension, whatever the hell happens with that, you're still going to have plenty of money to work with this summer. Are you going to use that to supplement and build a team that's going to be competitive for the playoffs next year? And Winger was a little bit non-committal in terms of expectations. He said we should be better, we should be more competitive, but he's not going to put a barometer on how successful the season should go. I go, interesting. Okay, he's a little bit non-committal about like where they'll be next year in terms of the process. They're done with the tanking stuff. That's going to be done after this year, and that's the model that NBA teams take. You take 3 years where you bottom out, and that's going to be done. So to all the Wizards fans out there after this season, especially, congratulations, because you're getting through the worst part of fandom right now. This is a brutal, brutal process. And everybody that's watching you at home right now listening, we know how hard it is. Everybody understands how hard this process has been, but that's why you have to trust what the front office is doing, because they're going to get into the next stage of this thing here where they really try to take things into another gear. And you know what I noticed? The Wizards fan base has matured so much throughout this process. And I got to give credit to all of you listening to this right now because you guys have gotten so intelligent with just smart forward thinking. Everybody's starting to think the way the front office thinks, which is the intelligent way of foresight going forward, how to build this thing up with the foundation, because I wondered what the reaction would look like yesterday, AB, to the kind of non-committal approach from Michael Winger and saying the deconstruction phase is over, and everybody was thrilled. I just saw nothing but replies saying, this is great, we're sticking to the course, we're going through with the plan, we're not going to be average, this is what we asked for years. Wizards fans matured a lot throughout this process. I know I did, I'm sure you did too. It's going to be really interesting to see like next year where this thing starts to take off a little bit, and hopefully you really get off the runway and take off there in 2027.
Yeah, I always read the Instagram comment section after losses, and a lot of fans are saying W tank loss, we're going to be so good soon. And that's great. Like you mentioned, fans are starting to understand the plan. It's long term. We are not taking any shortcuts. This is great. Again, this is a type of Wizards basketball operation where we have never seen, Ben, and it's a whole new era. You just have to be ready to buckle up for the ride because this draft class coming up, and maybe there's a potential star out there the Wizards might trade for. That Michael Winger press conference, I loved every second of it, Ben.
It's awesome to see. And one thing that's also awesome to see, are opposing fan bases jealous of the Wizards front office? I'll tell you about that next. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. Seeing the view from your seat before buying makes choosing tickets easy and confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. Features like zone deals help unlock great seats at even better value. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off with Game Time. Never thought I'd see the day, AB, where there's actually some fan bases out there that are jealous that Washington has a front office that thinks this way. And that was one of the takeaways that I got yesterday just looking through my mentions on Twitter. And I'm going to pull up some of the replies here because I'd never thought I'd actually see respect from other fan bases on the approach that the Wizards took, because we've been the punching bag to NBA fans for so many years, and we still are to an extent. But this is an interesting shift. Now, let me pull up one of these. Okay, here's one. Bulls fan here, and I say, preach. But for real, Bulls are asleep in the wheel, and I need them to take this approach. Interesting. Okay, we got a note. Someone said CC at Chicago Bulls. So multiple people bringing up the Bulls. I had somebody actually bring up the Indianapolis Colts. The Washington Wizards fans have more hope than the Colts fan base. And they added like Jim Irsay's daughter, I guess, whoever's running the team right now for the Colts. That's really interesting. But AB, can you believe that there's actually people that are jealous of the Wizards having a front office that thinks this way?
I never thought I'd see the day, Ben. And it's funny because the Bulls, the Raptors, Heat, those are teams that are going to be stuck in purgatory. Every year, I swear to God, Ben, they're always playing in the play-in. And it's like nobody else does. It's designated for the Chicago Bulls in particular. And they have young stars, but it's not enough. And if you understand the approach that Michael Winger, that Will Dawkins have done, if you look at the blueprint, I'm hoping that other GMs are like, okay, we got to copy them, because this is a way where you're building something, and you're the rookie contracts, you're doing all those things together, and players want to come to Washington. I mean, go back to Alex Sarr, the pre-draft process, saying, I don't want to go to Atlanta, I want to play in DC. Ace Bailey wanting to play in DC. Trae Young is Washington is my preferred trade destination. Small things like that add up. CJ McCollum saying really nice things about Will Dawkins and how they handle things professionally after he was dealt to Atlanta. You put all those things together, that's a professional organization, and on top of that, it's a good culture here. And when have we had a good culture here? Go back to the Bradley Beal days. It was just drama after drama. It was like, is Bradley going to get traded? Is he not? Is he happy? Is he going to be here long term? And as much as he did what he did on the court, averaging 30 points per game, it wasn't getting anywhere, Ben. It wasn't. Did we leave? Did we get out of the first round with Bradley Beal? No, when he was averaging 30 plus points. Our peak, Ben, 2021 season was awesome with Russell Westbrook, top 5 season, underrated. Like you mentioned, I agree, but we didn't get anywhere, and It's different now because you have Alex Sarr, who's leading the league in blocks per game. Keyshawn George looks like a great two-way player, which, by the way, I want to talk about. I don't know if you saw the podcast, Ben, the Old Man in 3. They interviewed Keyshawn, Bilal, and Alex, and it was great. Keyshawn talked about how he thought he was going to get drafted by the Bucks, and they ended up taking AJ Johnson. Now AJ Johnson's his teammate. It's funny how time works, and all the young studs. There's going to be a problem at one point. It's a great problem to have where you're going to have too much young talent on this roster and you're going to have to trade some guys. But it's a great problem to have, and so many NBA fans would trade their problems for our problems right now.
Yeah, I got some more. I looked at my quote tweets. There's even more here in the quotes and the replies. Somebody said, I think I'd have a stroke if anyone in the Bulls organization reached this level of critical thinking.
I like that.
Here's another one. This guy posted a GIF of a guy saying, "Hey, I've seen this one." It says Thunder fans reading this. That's a pretty good endorsement.
Please.
That's a good thing. Let's see what I could find here. I think I got some more coming up here from a couple of others. Here's something from a guy named Chris Chaliza. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he's an independent news creator on Substack. He's got 556,000 followers on Twitter. He said, "This is how a smart modern franchise operates." And that's just interesting. Like, he had no affiliation or ties with the Wizards. He just saw my tweet and decided to comment on it. So
shout out Chris.
Let's see if I can find any more of opposing fan bases that have commented on this, because I think there's been a couple more that have chimed in. Real management.
Was the room crowded, Ben, as the Trae Young press conference?
Not as crowded as the Trae Young press conference, but it's interesting. Like, I can't believe that Washington has a front office that at least a couple teams can actually look up to here. And you think about it, like, how many teams in the NBA are just mid at this point? Like, I'm going to go through the NBA standings right now.
The Portland Trailblazers?
Well, they're in town on Tuesday. The Wizards should try really hard to win that game, actually, just because I think it'd be how funny would it be if Bub dropped 35 and the Wizards beat the Blazers?
I'll tell you one thing. If Deni has a triple-double and they blow us out, the comment section is not going to be too friendly. I know that.
Oh, we'll hear about it. All right, you transitioned the conversation perfectly. We can talk about what Winger said regarding Deni Avdija. So I'm going to pull up the note that I have here. Josh Robbins of The Athletic said, "It's been 18 months since this franchise traded away Deni. Was it a mistake?" He said, "No, it was not a mistake. We did it for the reasons we said then, which is to, in effect, take us back a couple years so we could reset the roster." Now, they knew that Deni was a player that was on the rise, that was going to sell very high at that point, and the Wizards got good value for what Deni was at that time, getting 2 first-round picks. Obviously, one of those is a 2029 first-rounder, and then you got the one that used to take Bub Carrington, and you also got Malcolm Brogdon in that deal, which didn't necessarily work out because he had some of the injury issues that kind of plagued him for his lone season when he was here. But the vision was for this Wizards team to reset the roster completely. And Deni was probably a guy that would increase their win total enough to the point where they didn't feel comfortable of him being part of that roster reset. They felt like he might be a guy that is obviously going to develop on his own term, and he might be getting you empty stats on nights instead of other guys developing. So the decision is interesting because, like, Deni has become an all-star level player. So you could say maybe they misevaluated, like, just how good Deni Avdija would be, but I think a lot of people, including some of his teammates, would say they were surprised that he actually reached this level and that he's playing at that high of a level. But it's not something I'm going to dwell on. I don't think anybody needs to dwell on this move. Like Portland, with him as the number one option right now, is a game above 500. Is that what they're 23 and 22. So they've surged as of late. They've won 8 of their last 10, and Deni has been awesome for them. But I'm still comfortable with where the Wizards are right now. They're still trying to get to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and Deni Avdija, like you mentioned, would have messed up the tanking process, you not being able to keep your top 8 pick. And it sucked at the time because I was a big fan of Deni and how he was handled under Scott Brooks, a spot-up corner shooter when he has to be ball dominant. And we saw he had a 40-point game against Atlanta, how he defended Giannis that one time not too long ago. But you just have to realize, as Wizards fans, that it's a sunk cost. We moved on. It's a whole different generation with what we're trying to build here. And I know some people are still bitter on it and don't want to see Bub succeed because he ultimately traded Deni for Bub with on top of that draft capital. But at the end of the day, Deni's going to do what he's going to do over there. I think he's averaging 26, if I'm not mistaken, and he's putting up good numbers. But how far does he lead that Portland Trail Blazers team? If it's a Bradley Beal situation where you can barely make into the play-in and then you can't get out the first round, and that's what Deni's known for his career, then what can we make of that? But at the end of the day, it was the right move at the right time, and it's going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now, Ben, and some Wizards fans are still going to be complaining about it.
Yeah, well, there'll always be some of that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the people that are paying attention and understand where the team is going right now. When we come back, give you a little more on this press conference, and then we'll preview Wizards-Hornets for a noon tip tomorrow. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night, that's tonight, before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame and limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during NBA Happy Hour always brings something new: boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make the move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts, and it adds a little extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So interesting that we're starting to get toward the end of the tunnel here throughout this deconstruction tanking phase of Washington Wizards fandom and now covering the team, because I feel like the last couple of weeks, AB, and really the last couple of nights actually, where the team has been more competitive in some of these losses, like another tight loss with Denver last night where you didn't shoot the basketball well at all. One of your worst shooting nights, honestly, of the year, or at least recently. And your defense actually kept you in that game against a really good Denver team, albeit without the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. But that Denver team is going to compete, and I think they have a legitimate shot when Jokic comes back to win this entire thing this year. That's a really good team. I'm having a lot more fun watching this team flourish, watching this team develop, because we're getting to the point where we're seeing some of those real strides from a lot of these players. There's still growing pains, and those are going to occur throughout the rest of the year. And hell, you're probably going to see some of the growing pains next year as well. But we're starting to get a sense of like where the organization is, and like Winger said, we got to figure out who needs to stick around. And I'm starting to get a pretty good idea of who I think already is going to stick around for the long run. It's just a matter of who are we going to supplement with and who's coming next in the draft this year. It's getting exciting, AB.
Yeah, I think that Nuggets game, Keyshawn almost getting a triple-double, the fact that you kept it within 10, the poor shooting night, it is what it is. Bub Carrington with 13, Trey Johnson with 19. I'm getting to the point, Ben, where I want to see Trey take the most shots on the team right now. It's just that guy can shoot it from anywhere on the court, and I think with games like this, you'll take it because it's a close competitive loss, and the tanking standings, I don't know where we are right now. I have to check, but it's getting tight. I'm pretty sure we're third right now, Ben.
I think we're tied for the most or the least amount of wins with Indiana, but wow, New Orleans, why do they have so many more games than we do? They have 3 more games than us. They have 36 losses, and Indiana has 35. So we're a game and a half back technically, but a pretty good cushion now. 2.5 games from 5, which is Brooklyn right now. Wow, Brooklyn had one of the worst losses I've ever seen. It reminded us of like what happened to us against Indiana last year.
Well,
what was the score of that game? 160 to 100.
I think they scored 170, but yeah, the Nets, they lost to the Knicks by 50, right?
It was 66 to 120 something, I think.
Holy crap! Yeah,
they always scored 66 in a whole game, and there were Nets fans saying that they lapped the Wizards' rebuild in 1 year. Did you see that, AV?
Oh my! Wait, is that the lowest point scored in an NBA game ever?
Ever, no.
66. I thought it was higher than that.
You know NBA games used to end with 10 points.
Well, yeah, I mean I get that, but like in the modern era, is that the term? Bro, they only scored.
Since they implemented the shot clock, you gotta double check. No, I mean that's actually not the lowest because this is elite Wizards ball knowledge I'm about to drop on you right here. The Wizards beat the Bulls in the 2014 playoffs in Game 5 to close out that series. The Wizards won that game 75-69. AB, go ahead, fact check me right now. Am I right?
75. Let me search it up. What was 2014?
Wizards Bulls 2014 Game 5. Was that the final score of that game? Let me know.
You said what was the score?
75-69.
Oh my God, Ben Strober, you're right.
I'll never forget that. It was such a low scoring, weird game, but it was the first time I'd ever seen this team win a playoff series.
That was the series where Nene butted heads with Jimmy Butler, right?
Yep, and Joakim Noah was the Defensive Player of the Year that year, and he got into it with people at Capital One Arena or then the Verizon Center.
Those were the days when I became a Wizards fan. I just thought it was the norm to make it out the first round. Little did I know.
We didn't know what was coming for years after that, and then we played Indiana in the next round after that.
Bro, Ben, 66 points? I didn't know it was that low. I thought they got blown out by 40, 50, but I didn't know they only put up 66. Yes. That is embarrassing. Knicks fans, you guys want to come at us for tanking? That is embarrassing. Of course, Michael Porter Jr. is still the leading scorer.
What do you have, 30?
He had 12 and took.
He had 12?
Yeah, took 14 shots, and Igor Demen 6 points, but he's somehow higher on the rookie ladder than Trey Johnson.
Well, it's just who even cares at this point?
Yeah, it's just, man, it's just I don't even know what to say. That's crazy. But anyway, Wiz-Hornets tomorrow, Ben, 12 p.m. tip off. What are you looking forward to see? Did you see LaMelo Ball? He had a crazy slump the other night. I forgot who was against.
1 for 15 and 1 for 11 from 3. I'm looking to see that. Hopefully, I'd like to see us lock down defensively and get it. We got a really lengthy injury report for this game, which I'm gonna pull up here in a second. But it's the usual suspects that are on the injury report right now. Actually, let me stop because there's a couple people that are typically not on it. So Marvin Bagley is out, Bilal Coulibaly out, A.J. Johnson still sick, Tristan Vucevic out with a hamstring strain, Cam Whitmore obviously out, Trae Young obviously out, and Chris Middleton is questionable. So you're pretty short-handed. The Hornets are such an interesting team because on paper they have more talent than this Wizards team right now, yet they're just not good at all.
That's the theme of every season, though, Ben. Let's be real with them.
They've been like that for so many years. They hit on draft picks. They get good talent, and they somehow just never win. So hopefully we avoid that because I don't want to be a team that develops talent and has good talent on the team but doesn't turn that into winning. It's going to be interesting to see how this team learns how to win basketball games. And hopefully next year you're part of that process where you're really starting to learn games. And maybe Trae Young can be a big helping hand in that because obviously he's won plenty of basketball games in his career. You got to have somebody teach you how to win.
Yeah, I think next year it's just going to be a lot different. There's not going to be any questionable minute restrictions and then late game substitutions and then not boxing out James Harden. It's gonna be a lot different for sure. I want to ask you this, Ben. Do you think there is another trade before the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think they'll do something because last year I don't think many people expected them to be active at the deadline, and they were actually very active. So I would not be surprised if the Wizards find a way to acquire some more assets. I know that there's teams that are interested in Bagley, so I would not be surprised to see him on the move.
It'd be funny another time where you flip him and then bring him back.
Well, I've seen all the tweets are even saying "We'll see you soon, Marvin." #Bagley Nation.
Yeah.
Everybody's in on the bit once again. This is the bit. Just trade him and re-sign him.
And if he's gone, man, it's going to be just TV and SAR, and that's going to be an interesting front court.
It's cinema out there.
Absolute
Like,
cinema.
I mean, they won't share the floor much together. You'll get some more Anthony Gilman. It's Anthony Gill had a loud crowd pop when he made a bucket the other day.
All right, Ben, right now the team is 10-33. How many wins do you think they end up with?
Probably 20 on the dot.
I'm thinking 18 or 19. I think that's still going to secure your draft spot. And last year, how many did we win? 18, 19, 20?
18 games.
18, okay. So if we get 19, it's somewhat of progress.
I think they'll get to 20 because the past 2 seasons they've improved. Not necessarily. Well, they've improved where they were at the halfway point this year, being at 10 wins instead of 6. So I feel like if you're on that trajectory, you're bound to win a couple of more games, I think, than last year. My prediction was 23 at the start of the year. That's probably too high at this point, but maybe 20 or 21 right now. And, I mean, some of y'all thought we were going to win 30 after we won 7 of 12. So.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys were thinking that. Like, let's be real.
I don't know. AB, anything else? Anything you're going to do in the snow you want to tell everyone about?
No, I'll probably just shovel my driveway. I'm at the point right now where I'm not in school anymore, so I can't be too happy about waking up to a school is canceled notification. But it's going to be fun. Tomorrow's game, 12 p.m. I think we have a chance at winning. I mean, this Hornets team, they're 11 games below 500, but I could see a game where Trey Johnson goes off, JC getting 10 rebounds. Should be a fun one.
All right, if we lose this one, we have to beat Portland because you don't want to get to 10 losses in a row, and let's beat Portland.
And LeBron James and Luka are coming to town soon, too.
Well, that'll be fun.
I can just see so many Laker and LeBron fans are going to be there.
Bronny MVP chance again?
Oh man. Bronny getting guarded by AJ Johnson is going to do wonders.
Cinema. That's going to be crazy. All right, then we'll wrap it up with that. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Be sure you are safe out there in the snow. If you haven't got your bread and your milk or eggs or whatever the hell people get before snowstorms, go do that now. Stay off the roads if they're dangerous. We don't need anybody.
Do not drive
crashing
in the snow, for the love of God. Please don't.
All right. For my co-host Abdullah, Ayubi, and Ben Strober, stay safe out there.